Hi, I'm Ian Bonds. I'm front of house and monitor engineer for Stephen Wilson. We're in the Mir Theatre today in Hamburg. This actual tour we started last year, this time last year actually, last January. We've gone back to doing, weirdly gone back to doing monitors in front of house now, whereas Porcupine Tree used to own a little, will still own a little Yamaha O2R 96, which as far as I'm aware still works. We haven't switched it on for 10 years, but we'll see. But yeah, so now we're on monitors in front of house, mainly because when we did the first tour, some of the venues we were in were not quite as technically good as we would hope. Smaller clubs, all of them looked after us extremely well, but we didn't want to leave monitoring and stuff to chance. So I had a Pro9 at that time, just did the monitor mixes in front of house, got it set up within about an hour at the first rehearsal, and I think the show file's pretty much unchanged. Everyone has an in-ear of some kind. The drums are a hardwire because you can't go anywhere, so he's on hardwire. Bass and Alex, the other guitar player, are on stereo in-ears, nothing else. Adam, the keyboard player, has stereo wedges and a mono in-ear. In fact, he doesn't even have an aux end, he only has the click track in his earpieces. That's all he has, so I don't even use an aux, I just patch him straight from the input of the box to the output onto the, and it just goes straight through. There's no level control, he's just got a volume on his pack, that's it.
And it's just a click?
Just a click,
and
yeah.
Music and his
coming from his wedges, yeah.
Ah, okay.
So as soon as he doesn't need it, they're out, you know. And Stephen has stereo wedges and a mono in-ear, which is not good, but he has a mono in-ear, which he only puts in when he's singing or when he needs a click. As soon as he's not needing either of those things, he just pulls it out and goes back into the real world, you know. He isn't a fan of headphones of any kind, so apart from when he's out walking, he'll have a pair of Walkman headphones on, but that's pretty much it. It doesn't mix on headphones, doesn't do anything on headphones. The picture delay is not really an issue because there's, apart from Nanette on Pariah, which you'll see later when she's on the front screen, we have two screens. We've got an LED wall at the back, and we've got a thing called a HoloNet at the front, which is essentially, it's supposed to be an invisible screen. And when it's in, it really is invisible. We had to put chairs out when we had it in rehearsals because you couldn't see it. We used to walk into it. It's about 20,000 euros, so you don't want to do that. And you can't repair it, so you really don't want to do that. So we have that on a projector on the front. The problem comes, because we're touring PAs and stuff, is getting everything to fit where we need it to go without anything crashing into each other or overlapping. And usually it's me that has to kind of go in the wrong place, if you like, because the projector and the screen kind of have to go in. It dictates where the front of our stage is. So today we have a truss that's about 2 meters on stage, so the front of the band's workspace is 2 meters upstage, because that's where the truss has to go for the HoloNet. So, and in some places there isn't a lot more behind that, so we have to be really, really careful where we end up putting stuff. Well, we have a certain depth. Our guitar tech has his special shoes that he paces everything out to. So ideally we have 11 feet between Stephen's pedal board and his guitar amp. And then there's a 6 foot deep riser behind that, and then there's 2 8-foot risers either side. So, and then we have cables at the back, lighting at the back, the video wall at the back. So our stage size is dictated by how far apart we can get that HoloNet and the LED wall. In some places in the US wasn't much. I mean, a no riser day, you know, because there's not enough depth. So it wasn't much fun, but yeah. I don't know, I have no idea what it is. I have the gig running in my head that I want it to sound like, and I move things until it matches as close as possible. That's the only way I can describe it. I don't know. I mean, I'm lucky that the band are extremely good at programming sounds. Stephen's very good at arranging stuff. I mean, you've probably heard on other things with various band members that if we're at rehearsals and he doesn't like, or the sound's not quite right, he'll go and just tweak someone's pedal. Go, that's better. They go, oh yeah, okay. So we do a lot of a lot of the work in getting it right happens at that end in rehearsals before we even get as far as this, and that really makes a difference. Yeah, you can't fix it in the mix. If it goes in wrong, it stays wrong. It's, so we try and get it as right as possible. I like the Midas digitals because they sound like the Midas analog. Simple as that. The workflow is pretty much the same. It's definitely quirky. It's definitely built by old blokes in Birmingham, but I'm kind of an old bloke and it works for me. Everything kind of makes sense for me, but I know others struggle, but I just like it. But the sound is correct for me. Well, this one I bought in 2008. This doesn't go out on hire very much, so I kind of keep it for me now. The smaller ones go out a lot, but I keep this one for me. If you don't switch it on in the right order, it can get a bit funny. So we make sure that end gets switched on. The DSP for this is actually on the stage. So in theory, if you have something on stage that goes into there and is patched to something on stage, you can unplug this console and it will keep going. Is the theory. Never tried it. Don't want to find out. But in theory, that's what will happen. So yeah, we switch it on in the right order. When it's really cold, we had some stuff last year, and we're going to probably be having it again, where we were loading into venues. It was minus 18 degrees. Finland was minus 18 degrees. So of course you bring everything into a warm venue and it's just instantly condensation. So we try and get the power on as soon as possible, switch the console on and just walk away from it. Don't worry about what it's doing, don't worry about the lights. It'll go nuts for a few minutes, come back to it in 20 minutes, switch it off, switch it back on again. All good. The thing I was interested in this year and last year, actually this year was the D&B Soundscape, which is very cool. It's a completely different approach to doing PA than what we used to doing with the big pile of boxes or two big hangs of speakers left and right. But because we do this quad thing on these shows, which gives another dimension, there's stuff coming from the back which you're not expecting, and which is kind of cool. The Soundscape thing's another level of insanity for that kind of surround things. It doesn't do panning, and you don't have master faders anymore. Each channel fader is the master fader, and in the software you place that microphone on the stage, and then wherever you are in the venue, if you set it up right, it sounds like that instrument's coming from there. So I can put Adam's Hammond module as if it was a Leslie cabinet stuck behind his riser and physically put it there on the software, and when you're sat here it sounds like a Leslie cabinet on the stage. But equally, if you go and stand over there at the bar, it'll still sound like a Leslie cabinet coming from the stage. So the panning's done with phase and with delay, basically. Very clever. Good question. I haven't worked that out yet. I'm sort of thinking of doing a hybrid version, actually. So I can keep my big left and right rock and roll stacks, and then have all the extra effects and quadraphonic stuff actually done with the Soundscape, because it reduces weight and because it's more stuff to put in each day. And we're already getting in at 9 a.m. and we're kind of ready for sound check at 3, and we haven't stopped in that time. So adding another, 20 something speaker positions, and then trying to find out where to do it in a venue. This one would be great because there's trusses each side. You can hang stuff up across the back, maybe across the front here, not so bad. But you get into a theatre with 3 balconies and lots of fire exits and restrictions. Yeah, that's not so easy, If we could plan ahead and do it, it would be, maybe. It would just be getting all the outputs we'd need and getting it set up and the software running and having it pre-programmed so you can literally roll in, flash the speakers and go, right, okay, go. But there is time to do that usually before a tour. It's just a question of physically actually doing it. My design is always to hit the front row with the array. I'm not a fan of this, we'll do it with front fills, and it doesn't work. Yeah, you may lose a little bit of level, but what you get is you cover pretty much. If we have got some front fills in just to get over the volume of the stage, but if you walk to the front with just the main arrays on, you can hear it front center with no problem. It's all there. So we've got, from the back row of the circle to the front of the barrier covered with the array. And the first thing I do when I get to a house rig is look at where their PA's pointing have a disappointed look on my face, and then when I put the music on, I walk up to the front and I'll stop and put a bit of tape and go, your PA finishes here, we need to fill this 10-meter gap or whatever it is. And usually they haven't thought about that. 10 or 15 years ago, when you had a lot of side fills and monitor wedges, like, yeah, okay, I can hear the vocal because it's coming off the stage. Not going to happen now. You get a fully in-ear band, there's no coverage, there is nothing there.
Yeah.
So you have to cover it with the PA. It's kind of odd. I mean, years ago I was mixing Dream Theater, 2002, and they'd just gone over to in-ears and ISO chambers instead of having a wall of boogies, which is what JP used to use. He now had 3 cabinets in flight cases under the stage. So if you didn't put the fader up, there was no guitar, and I mean no guitar. Even in rehearsals, nothing. So you had to, it had to come out, and you then soon find out how good your mic placement is as well. Not a deal with the campers, but with a mic'd up cabinet off stage, you suddenly find out, how good or bad your mic position is, because you're not listening to the roar of the stage. Weirdly, we did talk about this at the last Porcupine Tree show that we did, which was 2010, I think, October 2010. The manager was all keen and fired up and wanted to take it to somewhere bigger, but basically said, well, the sound's bad in this place. I said, well, let's just not use speakers then. Because what do you mean don't use speakers? I said, well, just do it like a silent disco, like the 2 a.m. disco for people who want to party on after a festival. There's no noise. They've all got the headphones on. Turn it up as loud or as quiet as they like. Everyone has their own personal taste. And with the way noise laws are going, because it's getting lower and lower, there's more legislation and laws about what you can do. Like we've just been to Belgium, that's 100 dB over 60 minutes, which is actually quite easy. The French do 102 over 10 minutes. It's all starting to, people looking after their, citizens really. Keep them safe from people like me. But why not have, say, bring your smartphone, because everyone has one, everyone has some headphones. You see people walking around headphones all the time. Okay, we're going to broadcast you it, or there's going to be a link to a site, and you put your headphones on, and we'll not take any speakers with us at all, make no noise. Because those days will come at some point, I'm sure. But there's always things you want to improve. There's always new things to try. I'm looking to buy the next size system up from this, which is going to be a fair chunk of cash, but I'm already sniffing around that. I'm thinking what to do next. So it'd be nicer to do some bigger rooms. I mean, on this particular run, it's a little tricky because we've got everything from small clubs up to, reasonably big rooms, and we've only got the one truck because the smaller rooms, you can't necessarily have 2 trucks on those places. So it would be nice to go back to our 2 trucks and a little bit of a bigger system for the bigger rooms. That'd be nice. But yeah, but we'll see. We'll see what music he comes out with next, because it always changes. There's always a little twist or a little turn somewhere that it's completely different from the previous album. So we'll see what he comes out with, and then we'll go from there.